Howdy folks, and welcome back. So today we're continuing my eternal quest for the ultimate bushcraft multi-tool, and we have a new contender. So kind of go over my old one, go over my new one, go over my ideas, and you tell me which one you think wins. So first one is my Leatherman Surge. This has been modified quite a bit, and it has been the focal point of a number of videos. So I'm going to kind of show you what I've done with it since then, which hasn't been much, but I'll show you the overview of it too. So the first thing is I've put a Mora knife carbon steel blade on, which is filthy right now because I use it a lot. And also the carbon steel does discolor and it's very hard to remove. Leatherman Wave Plus saw. So I took the T-shank holder off and put a regular fixed saw on. That saw did require a bit of modification welding in order to get to fit. The wonderful scissors that are unmodified, which I love and I use very often, particularly for fishing and trimming nails and doing a number of other small tasks. And then the last thing is I took the serrated blade off and I put on a file. This is a coarse file from a steel chainsaw, like a flat file, which I've carved onto the side to kind of make a rasp. On the back side, I've taken the diamond file from the T-shank holder, kind of resurfaced the back to flatten it off, and then welded it here so that I can sharpen things very, very fine, like fish hooks, my axe, that sort of thing. Also, I can use the slotted bolt here, take this completely off and sharpen the knife blade using that. It's a bit tricky, but it would work in a pinch. The other thing is I have a chainsaw tooth end here, which I've welded onto the end. I know it's ugly, but my gosh, does this thing work. If I need to make shavings, I can just draw this on wood and it makes the most wonderful little curls. If you've ever run a chainsaw and cut long grain, you understand what I'm talking about. It makes that spaghetti sawdust. So I can manually do it with that little chainsaw tooth. For bushcraft, that's a good thing to have because it makes good tinder. The other thing is I put tenacious tape, reflective tape on the sides, on the scales, on two of the scales, so that if I do leave this laying somewhere that is very reflective, much more reflective than the metal, even though the metal is pretty reflective, this stuff shines at night. All right, on the inside tools, I have the gouge chisel combination that comes out of that little bit holder, chisel on that end. I don't use that often, but when I do want to use it, it's very nice to have. And then I have a small knife blade, which I made from the screwdriver blade. From the screwdriver that would normally be there. So this gives me two knife blades, and I think that is important for any multi-tool. And since I don't have a serrated blade, that kind of pinch hits for it. I have two awls. And then the pry bar. The pry bar I do use quite a bit, so I'm keeping that. The pocket clip is off of a Gordon tool. And then I also managed to fit Victorinox tweezers into this slot, which I carved into the back of the the cap thing there. All right, so that's that. That's kind of the overview of my Surge. We'll come back to that and the things that I like and don't like about it in just a second. So someone else that did this a survival challenge said that they in fact brought a Leatherman, the Supertool 300. So I saw one and I figured they're not going to, I don't know, maybe eventually they're going to discontinue this tool. So I'd like to get one before they do so. So I saw this at the local hardware store and I was like, you know what, I'm going to get it. And I did. So here it is. Now we'll go through the tool set on it real quick, and then I'll go through the things that I would modify almost right away. Knife, main tool, a very good file. Not a diamond file, but still a very good file. A saw blade, which is excellent. It's a little bit longer than the Wave Plus. One other thing that I should touch base on is I did get the MUT, M-U-T, saw, which is a direct fit, or really close to a direct fit, onto this guy. And I replaced this saw here, the Wave Plus saw, with that MUT saw. And I tried it out, and I hate the MUT saw. It's terrible. It doesn't cut very fast. It binds, and I went back to the slightly smaller Wave Plus saw because it just works better. All right, sorry, little sidetrack there. And then it has the serrated knife blade, which I'm not too keen on it, but I mean, it is my second knife blade, and it is quite useful. All right, for small tools right now, it has the pry bar screwdriver, and then a mid-sized screwdriver, flat screwdriver. The Phillips, which I really like this Phillips for around the house. That's a much better Phillips than the Surge came with as far as that T-shank holder. That one, yeah, good job there, fellas. And then this small flat screwdriver, and of course the can opener. And it has kind of like a rope wire cutter down here at the base of the can opener. All right, so what it's missing is scissors, obviously. So I'm thinking if I could mod this thing with some scissors, which tool would I take off? I'd take off probably either the can opener or the mid-sized screwdriver, right? If I could get like a small pair of wave scissors. Now, that would actually provide something interesting. So when I'm fishing with the Surge, and I often need the scissors, which are on this side of the tool. Open that up. I can't then get to the pliers because the scissors are open. So I have to close them up, access the pliers, do my plier things, like with sinkers and that sort of thing, squeeze them off. Now the scissors are, I gotta trim the lines, I gotta close them, open them. You know, it's back and forth quite a bit when you're dealing with fishing line. It's not the end of the world, but it is a thing. I wind up try to use these cutters to trim the fishing line, which if you notice, there's a little gap right down there. I don't know if you can see that, but trust me, it's there. It's very annoying because the fishing line will invariably fall down into that gap, and then you can't cut it. So you have to like hold it and then cut it. This also suffers from that. But if I had scissors on this end, let's just pretend these are the scissors for a second. Okay, there's my, I can have the tool open, the pliers accessible, and the scissors accessible. That definitely gives this a little bit of merit as far as, you know, being a little bit easier, more user-friendly. Now, what else would I do for making bushcraft? Well, I think I'd take this small screwdriver and I'd modify it into a second awl. I really like having two awls on the Surge. I believe that it's worthwhile to do that. You wind up having to punch holes in things quite often. The Phillips, maybe I could make that into a drill bit, because that's the other thing, is being able to punch a nice round hole in something would be nice. Although the Phillips in itself is not that terrible. Like, that's a pretty good punch, and it's nice and strong too. So I might actually leave that just the way it is. So maybe scissors where the can opener is, that would work. On the other side, I would take this guy here and either make it into a gouge or a chisel. And I think I'd just buy another one of those and replace this guy with that. So I would have all gouge pry bar, scissors, Phillips or drill, and then the secondary awl. I don't have a good plan on how to get tweezers on this thing though. Like, this was set up where I could sneak these in here. Where would I put them? Like, I just don't see a good spot. Maybe there, if I trimmed a little spot out and slid them down in there, I don't know. That could work. At any rate, I would say that the Supertool is definitely in the running. Maybe not quite as easy to modify as the Surge, but then again, it has some real benefits too. It's easier to clean because you can open up all the tools and open up that whole chamber, whereas this has these much smaller passages for the tools. You know, that's hard to clean out down in there. And when you're dealing with animal fats and things like that in the field, easy to clean is a feather in its cap. Otherwise, very similar weight. This is a little bit lighter, but not drastically. About the same size. that the knife blade on this is a little bit bigger than this. As far as the girth, height, I don't know. Even the stock one is a little bit wider than this guy here. Yeah. This is a little bit harder to deploy the main tools because you have to open that, and then close it back up. This is also stiff. I mean, that's not to its detriment. Like, it's brand new, so it just hasn't been worked. This guy here is, I've had it for years, and now you can single hand flick it, which people say you can't do that with a Surge. Oh yeah, you can. You just have to sit here and open it and close it 10,000 times to get it loosened up. So it is kind of nice that you can deploy the main tools, you know, in the field. Now, one other thing you might be able to do is combine the two, so that you had half Surge and half Supertool. You know, one Surge, one Supertool, put it together that way. It would be like a Super Surge, which is another thought. But at any rate, I would actually say they're tied. I think that they're very good tools in either case. In either one, you're not going to go wrong. It's hard to pick a winner between the two. You tell me what you think. Which one do you think wins? All right, guys, that's all I got for you. We're at like 475 subs, so trying to that 500 number. If you guys would like and sub, thanks so much. Have a great day.